like to call this meeting to order, the Town Council meeting of Monday, September 13th, 2021 at 7 p.m. here in the McKinnon Council Chambers. Let's please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, Madam Secretary.
Councillor Adams.
Excused.
Councillor Catrona.
Present.
Councillor Dow.
Present.
Councillor Jovan.
Present.
Councillor Lazo.
Present.
Councillor Marchetti.
Present.
Councillor Ryan.
Present.
Councillor Steves.
Excused.
And I forgot about you, Councillor Daniel, sorry.
Present.
How did you miss that?
That's all right. 20 years ago last Saturday, our country suffered an attack the likes of which can compare only to Pearl Harbor. This attack took away the naivety of the country and plunged us into having to take actions, both home and abroad, that have forever changed our way of life. Most importantly, the events of that morning robbed a generation of Americans of their fathers, mothers, and friends. Families were torn apart and forced to suffer immeasurable grief. Survivors have suffered 20 years of anguish and trauma. On that morning, over 2,500 civilians were lost, along with 340 firefighters, 72 law enforcement officials, 55 members of our armed services, and another 10 private EMTs and paramedics. It is estimated that over 3,000 children lost a parent. 20 years later, we will not forget our fellow Americans. It is fitting that we now remember them and their sacrifice with a moment of silence. Thank you. Agenda item number 4, consider and accept the Town Council meeting minutes of Monday, August 30th, 2020.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? There being none, all those in favor? Unanimous of all present. Agenda item number 5, subcommittee reports. General Government, Councilor Ryan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, through you. We met on... We met last Thursday, the 9th. We discussed a couple of things, one of them being the Mullins rule. We're expecting to make a formal recommendation at the next meeting. I expect that was something Councilor Marchetti spoke to at quite great length. He did a great job at giving a spirited reason as to why we needed it, and we'll be having further discussion on that at the next Gen Gov meeting on this Thursday, the 16th. We also discussed setting the procedure for reappointments to commissions and committees. Based on the discussion, I will be writing and proposing Council Rule 4B, which will be going to the General Government Subcommittee. I urge all councilors to come and hope to have a vigorous discussion then, and that will also be brought up on the 16th. And that concludes my report, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Councilor Ryan. Department of Public Works, Councilor Marchetti.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We've had no meetings, and I think there's a meeting scheduled for next week, tentatively scheduled for the 21st. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Education and Human Services, Councilor Jovan.
No report, no meeting scheduled as of yet. I do have a meeting with Receiver Villar this week. We'll see if any details come out of that to come back to EHS, as well as some items coming up with Board of Health issues and blight. So in the near future, we'll schedule a meeting.
Thank you very much. Planning and Development, Councilor Adams is excused this evening. Item E, Protection of Persons and Property, Councilor Lazo.
No report at this time. We do have a couple of agenda items tonight that we have recommendations from subcommittee. No meeting scheduled. Thank you.
Very good, thank you. Agenda item 6, Chairman's announcements. First, there was a resignation of a school committee member today. That means that there are, I believe, 3 openings at this point on the school committee. We would very much like to have a joint meeting and make some appointments to fill those spots. People who are interested are encouraged to come to the town manager's office and express their interest in joining a committee that really is important. We encourage people to participate in all the boards and committees, but the school committee is an important board, much more so considering what's going on now with the schools, and we really do strongly encourage people to consider being on that board.
Mr. Chairman,
Certainly.
point of clarification, if you may.
Yep.
Would the people that are interested be for the this recent resignation only, given the fact that we've had 2 people that applied for the 2 open positions, and wouldn't be fair, they were here ready to move forward,
Yes.
and due to the failure of the school committee not to have a quorum, I want additional people to apply. I would like that, but those 2 individuals put their names forward in a timely manner.
Yeah.
This should only be for the 3rd position that's open. That's just my
That's-
question for the board, and
That's
seek
absolutely
input
correct.
on that.
That's absolutely correct. I'm not looking to shut anyone out. I know there are other people that wish to be candidates and be considered, and they're definitely in line as well. So I apologize for the confusion that I've created. Councilor Ryan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just to also, I guess that would be something to follow up with the chairman of the school committee to determine, I guess, procedure, because it is his board. I suggest, maybe ceding to his authority on that and asking what his preference would be as to how we determine how those seats are allocated.
Mr. Murch and I are definitely going to be in communication. We have been in the past, and that will continue. You're right. Councilor Oswald.
I would also talk with the town clerk. I think what she will tell you is those are 2 separate positions. You might have one that applied, they both applied for a particular position. And if it's considered a term of this one position.
Yep.
What'll happen is if a second one, that's a different position and probably a different term, I don't know if there's 1 year, 2 year, 3 year left. So I would suggest that one of the people that applied, the 2 that applied, if one goes for the other position, it would just be a straight out appointment at that point. Just consider that with the clerk.
That's very good. Point well taken. Okay, very good. Other chairman's announcements. The Southbridge Business Partnership is hosting the Southbridge Autumn Fest 2021 on the Town Common next Saturday, the 18th of September, from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. This community event will include free games for children, bands, and other performers, food vendors, crafters, a beer and wine tent, and much, much more. This is a fantastic community event that is well worth attending. I thank the SBP for their leadership in sponsoring events that serve to bring the community together. For those of you who may not be familiar with the Southbridge Business Partnership, their mission statement reads in part, the Southbridge Business Partnership is a group of business owners with the common goal of enhancing the economic growth and opportunities for Southbridge businesses. They unite local business owners in the hope of helping each other succeed. Through utilizing each other's social networking channels and leveraging their relationships for stronger marketing and advertising initiatives, they are able to build a stronger identity within the Southbridge town community. I want to take a moment to make note of the preparedness and response of our police, fire, and public works departments during the storm events of the past few weeks. Our agencies were in contact at various points with the Massachusetts Emergency Management Agency, MEMA, the Federal Emergency Management Agency, FEMA, the Department of Environmental Protection, National Grid, and the Army Corps of Engineers, either in preparation for the storms or for responses during and after the storms. Our department heads had plans in place for scheduling of personnel, strategic responses to particular emergencies during the storms, and cleanup during the aftermaths. While the first storm created more emergent scenarios than the second, each had its share of incidents that were professionally and safely handled by our employees. These incidents included trees and power lines downed by high winds and copious amounts of rainwater, automobile accidents, medical situations related to normal living as well as caused by storms, and infrastructure events such as washouts in various areas of town. While we cannot stop the forces of Mother Nature from happening, it is reassuring to know that this town has in place high-quality professionals that are constantly preparing for and responding to the emergencies that come with our weather, both in the summer and the winter. Kudos to the chiefs, director, and their departments. My last announcement. This morning, I was present during a meeting of the leaders of the various civic resources in the town of Southbridge. These included the Emergency Management Director, Chief Paul Normandin, Town Manager Michael McCall, Andrew Pelletier of the Health Department, School Superintendent Dr. Jeffrey Villar, and representatives from Harrington Healthcare Systems. I was made aware of the following information. The local hospital emergency rooms are backing up with patients waiting to be placed in hospital beds within the facilities. The numbers of students coming down with COVID is increasing. General public infections are increasing, particularly for those in their mid-50s and below. This encompasses, I'm told, 80% of the workforce. The vaccination rate in Southridge is 54%, while the state sits at 68%. With my conviction that the citizens of Southridge look to us to guide and protect them where possible, I have asked Chief Normandin to reactivate the Emergency Operations Center. The EOC is staffed with various professionals in their respective fields who know and understand Southbridge. They were an excellent resource in the recent past regarding COVID. I have asked them to reactivate, to evaluate the situation in town, and inform the town as to what direction to go from here. And that's all I have. Agenda item number 7, Town Manager's announcements.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the council. Thank you. I have a piece of mail that I received from the Worcester Regional Transportation Transit Authority. They are currently looking for a disabled commuter population representative. That is defined by statute as someone who is mobility impaired or has a family member that is mobility impaired, or be a caretaker of a person who is mobility impaired, or work for an organization that serves the needs of physically disabled. If there is anybody within Southbridge that is interested in serving in this capacity with the WRTA, if they want to contact my office and we can recommend them for the position, it will be dealt with based on the order in which those appointees are sent up to the WRTA. So if anyone is interested, please contact my office. And also, Mr. Chairman, to dovetail on your report on the storm, as you know, I sent members of the council out an email on Friday just to indicate, as you did, that we'd been hit pretty hard by some of these storms, which has wreaked havoc on our existing drainage systems and overburdened some of our pipes, most notably up in Dresser Hill area. I know members of this council, as well as staff, has gone out to these sites, as well as the one that was mentioned at the podium last week at Hillside and up off of Lebanon Hill. We are continuing to investigate a permanent solution. This is an ongoing situation. And with regard to Dresser Hill on Friday, again, I was in communication with a representative from AES who's handling the maintenance of the solar farm. And it is believed that some of the runoff from that is contributing to our problems, and they've indicated that they may be able to assist there. So we are working to get information to them relative to the costs of those repairs and to try and make the appropriate corrections where possible and get them to assist. So it's ongoing, and I'll continue to advise the council the progress.
Very good.
And that's all I have, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Agenda item number 8, presentation by the town manager of a proclamation.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the council, members of the audience here, and those watching at home. One of my charges when I interviewed was to come here and recognize the diverse population that we have here in Southbridge. And I was working on a project with Ms. Dean last week with Dr. Lomax Campbell out of New York, and we were talking about community outreach, and we got into a discussion about recognizing the diversity within our communities, and we were talking about significant events. And it got me to thinking after the phone call, I've had the good fortune of meeting several representatives of our Hispanic community here in the last year, and we've attempted to work on things such as the census. And I realized this month is also National Hispanic Heritage Month. So I thought it would only be fitting, given the significant population that we have here in Southbridge and the contributions, that we recognize National Hispanic Heritage Month. So with the assistance of Chairman Daniel, we did some research, and I reached out to Severina Rios, who is here this evening, and I asked her to review what I had written to make it sure that it was consistent with my assessment of the contributions that have been made by the Hispanic community. And I put together a proclamation which states the following. Whereas September 15th through October 15th is recognized as National Hispanic Heritage Month, which is a time to honor the invaluable ways Hispanics and Latinos contribute to our common goals, celebrate their diverse cultures, and to work towards a stronger, more inclusive, and more prosperous society for all. And whereas this observance began in 1968 as Hispanic Heritage Week under President Lyndon B. Johnson and was enacted into federal law on August 17, 1988, calling upon the people of the United States to observe this time with ceremonies, activities, and programs. And whereas many immigrants of Hispanic and Latino heritage, especially from Puerto Rico, have established homes and businesses and make up a significant percentage of the population in Southbridge. And whereas the Hispanic and Latino community in Southbridge embodies the best of our community values, including commitment to faith, family, and country, and they proudly serve in our military and protect us as members of our public safety. And whereas the Hispanic and Latino community in Southbridge has left an indelible mark on our government, culture, and economy, and whereas the Hispanic and Latino community in Southbridge continues to thrive through its culture and language, now therefore the Southbridge Town Council recognizes, commemorates, and proclaims September 15th through October 15th, 2021 as National Hispanic Heritage Month in the town of Southbridge, and encourages our community to join us in celebrating the great contributions of Hispanic and Latino Americans to our town, state, and nation. Signed by John Daniel, Chairman of the Southbridge Town Council. And with that, Mr. Chairman, I would like to invite Ms. Rios up here, and I would like to present her these proclamations. And I also have one in Spanish, but as much Spanish as I can speak, Ms. Rios will tell you that my grammar is not the greatest. I've spoken with her in Spanish, and being a former Spanish teacher, she likes to point out my flaws. So, with no further ado.
Muchísimas gracias.
Muchas gracias de nada. And with that, we have Ms. Severinos from our community team.
¿Cuánto tiempo tengo? Man, how much time do I have? 2 minutes? 3 minutes? 5? Okay. Some of you know me because I was a teacher for the Southbridge public school system, and I'm also the proud mother of 3 children who graduated from Southbridge High, and I'm very proud of them and of my town. And I say my town because even though I was born and raised in Puerto Rico, I came here when I was 12 years old. I went to Wells Junior High. Some of you remember Mr. Wenheim, where he was my teacher, and I had a very good experience, but my parents didn't like the cold, so we had to go back. After I graduated from the University of Puerto Rico, came to visit Southbridge, and I've been here since. That was in 1972. I worked as a teacher, I retired, and I am a very proud member of the Latino and the Southbridge community. But as a teacher, I have a few questions for you guys. How old do you think the Latino community in Southbridge is? Just give me 3 numbers.
70 years. 70 years.
70, oh, that was close, yes. 100. No, not 100, no. Okay. Well, the first Latino families started coming to Southbridge in the late 40s, early 50s, okay? My sister came in 1956, the Hernandez family. They've been here since 1956, okay? And the rest is history, okay? So I'm here tonight to accept this proclamation on behalf of the Latino community, okay? And you know that the Latino community, now, are we Latinos or Hispanics? I'm waiting for an answer.
Just like good stuff.
Mr. Chairman, I looked this up, and I believe Hispanics tend to be people of not only Central America, but also from the Caribbean nations and islands that speak Spanish, and Latinos typically those people that come from Central and South America. That's what I read.
Okay. Because Latino comes from Latin, and we all know that Latin was the language of the Roman Empire, right? Okay? And Hispanics come from Hispania, which was the name of Spain in the Middle Ages, okay? And that is history, okay? So I want to say thank you for the work you guys do, okay? Sometimes it's not appreciated, so muchas gracias. And Mr. Town Manager, thank you for thinking of the Latino community. And I know that we have to do a lot. We need to get the Latinos involved. And if I say this to you, you're not going to believe it. But Puerto Rico has one of the highest voting population in the world, okay? Now, you might be saying, and why is it that Puerto Ricans, when they come here, they don't vote? Because it's different, okay? So I think that we need to start educating the Latino community so they can get involved and exercise their rights, okay? But that's the theme for another night. For now, thank you so much, and help us celebrate Hispanic Heritage Month. Muchas gracias y buenas noches. And you have to excuse me, I'm not going to be able to stay for the entire meeting because I'm driving and I'm not supposed to drive in the night. Muchas gracias. Thank you so much.
Mr. Chairman, could I just add one last thing? One of the things that we were talking that day, as I mentioned with Ms. Dean and Dr. Lomax Campbell, was also to get greater participation in government. And as you know, we've talked, we have a lot of vacancies on boards and committees. And I think it would be really wonderful if we could work with people like Ms. Rios to encourage members of our Hispanic and Latino community to get involved and encourage them to fill some of these vacancies given the percentage of the population they represent. And I'm happy to continue working to ensure that there's adequate representation from that community as well.
Very good. Very good. Thank you. Moving on. Agenda item number 9, Citizens Forum. Are there any citizens here present tonight that would like to speak to an item that they wish to discuss that is not on the agenda?
Yes.
Please come to the podium. Please state your name and address for the record.
Donald Solinsky, 33 Henry Street, Southbridge.
Thank you.
I'm here tonight because I have a different experience than this lady. Southbridge hasn't been fair to me or just. I want to introduce my lawyer. I have a lawyer now, Greg Richardson. And when I went to court, well, actually, the last hearing that you had, you were under the impression that, and even the chief of police stated it, that I could appeal the decision to district court, right? But what you did, you went to district court with an attorney and used sleight of hand to keep me from having a fair hearing. You allowed the court to deny my legal rights of an appeal. You're saying because I didn't appeal within 10 days of the original decision that I can't appeal this decision. That doesn't seem fair to me. It may be legal, but it's not just. And I think we're here for justice. You know? So I want my attorney to speak for a few minutes on my behalf. But what I want to say is, I'm not going to let this rest. Because if I don't get heard in front of a district court judge, I have a life-threatening illness. I stopped taking my medication the day that you took my dog. And I won't take it back, and my doctor says it could threaten my life. I won't take it back until I get my dog back. And also, what I'm willing to do, I'm willing to die on this hill. I'm willing to go on a hunger strike. And I'll go out in front of City Hall steps and use the press to let them know what you people have done to me. You want to murder my dog. You know, my dog didn't hurt anybody. So I want my attorney to say a few words.
With the assent of the council,
I make a motion to allow the gentleman's attorney on his behalf to speak for 5 minutes as allowed by, to waive the rules, to allow him to speak for 5
I
minutes
second that.
as allowed.
all those in favor? Very good. Mr. Attorney.
Hello.
All right, please state your name for the record.
And I live at 40 Easy Street in Dennis Park. What brings me down here is, well, first of all, I was born and raised in Auburn. I bought a house in Leicester on Pleasant Street. I lived there for 35 years. I had the good fortune to be able to buy a house down in Dennis Park. As soon as we bought it, my wife moved down there, never came home. So I followed her. What happens, and I happen to know, I have friends in Southbridge. I happen to know the character of people in Southbridge. And I do business actually in this town. And I know that the people of Southbridge, they're hardworking and they're just looking to give people a fair break. And nothing more, nothing less. And so I'm honored to be here, and thank you very much for letting me speak. You know, all I do is I've been practicing for quite a while, and all I do, the type of work I do, is only one type of work. massanimalawyer.com. I work with animals, but primarily I work with dogs. And I'm not interested in any other type of law. I don't work with divorce, I don't work with auto accidents, none of that. I work with dogs. And I hear a lot of sob stories all the time. They come across my desk, or they come across my email, or they come across through media inquiries. Oh, you know, I got messed up here, or they're treating me wrong there. Well, I got a phone call from Donald and Mary Lou, and they told me the story, and I said, well, I got to check it out. So when I looked at, I did some reading, and then I saw on YouTube the last hearing that you folks had. And what I think is unjust and unfair is the punishment that Donald is getting for the muzzle being off. There is a defense in law called the necessity defense, where doing a lesser evil is greater than doing a larger evil. And pit bulls are known, because of their short snouts, even with a basket muzzle on, that they can choke. And the dog was choking. He was down, as a matter of fact, I went down to that park bench, that bench today. And the dog was choking. And the reason I wanted to get involved is I called Donald, then I met with Donald, and I've never seen a guy more committed, okay, to an animal. So he took the muzzle off. The ACO gave the citation. She could have given a warning, but she gave a citation. Then it came here. Now, I believe, okay, that the town manager on several occasions, at least 2, maybe 3, had mentioned about tempering the fine to the crime. And he had mentioned about the $500, and even putting in abeyance, which was an excellent idea, something I wouldn't have thought of. And he mentioned that 2 to 3 times. And I really think what he was trying to do is he was trying to throw 3 lifelines. He was trying to throw a lifeline to you guys. Hey, $500, let him go on his way. Hey, Donald, you're going to learn this time, $500, be on your way, and also throw a lifeline to Vegas. But instead what the board did is they listened to the recommendation of the ACO, who said, there's a possibility that Vegas may cause more harm. And so, what happened is you voted the most extreme to take the dog from Donald. Now, the reason why the legislative intent was, why you had three different options, and one that the town manager correctly mentioned, was that the punishment should fit the crime, okay? It should fit the crime. That's just. I mean, it's just. But what happened was bam, you're going to get the worst we can give you. And I think that's unfair. So, we also had the hearing down at the district court. We went in front of, the clerk magistrates hearing. We're going to challenge that because what happened was witnesses were never sworn in. I've never heard of anything like that. Donald hasn't gotten his due process. It's law, swearing the witnesses, okay? Put them under oath. It didn't happen, okay? Strike one. What we want to do is, what we're looking for is what I'm looking for, what we're all looking for. I mean, I know the people of this town. People of town, you guys have a tough job, but the people of this town are fair. Honest to God, I'm convinced that if they knew what was going on, they'd say, I don't believe it. And as a matter of fact, I would dare say, okay, that somebody's family members on this board said, wow, that's pretty extreme, Dad, or Gramps. So long story short, this is what's going to happen, because I know my time's just about expiring. Do I have a minute?
1 minute.
Okay, my time's just about expiring. Donald, I spoke with Donald. What the chief, when he was last in here, had mentioned that he can haul us down to district court. Okay? We asked for that, okay, because we would like to have our hearing in front of an impartial judge. We're asking for that. Also, I do know this. Donald, if he doesn't get his dog back within 5 days, I got a note from his doctor that he is not taking his meds and he could die. Also, in 5 days, Donald is going to go on a hunger strike, and you know what? He's prepared to die on this hill. There's no question about it. We will call the New York Times, we will call the Boston Herald, and he will live stream TV on Facebook, TikTok, Twitter of him slowly dying. So what I'm asking you guys to do is to cut him a break, follow justice, the letter of the law, and just do the right thing. And thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it. And thanks again. And I hope, and I've been praying, that the grace of God, touches you tonight, and we can try to resolve this. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Can we speak? Can we speak?
Are there any other citizens that would like to come to the podium at this time? Okay.
Mr. Chairman, are we allowed to speak to this?
I think we need to be careful with what we say at this point, insofar as open meeting law needs to be followed, as well as the fact that there's the potential for executive session material, since they're talking about potential court appearances.
Okay.
So at this point, I would say that we need to move along and take this under advisement and decide at a future date as to whether or not this warrants further examination by us as a council.
Mr. Chairman, I request that we have an executive session scheduled.
Excuse me, point of clarification. Executive session for what?
To discuss this matter further.
We have not been noticed of any pending litigation until somebody provides litigation to us. If they so choose to say that we want to go to litigation on this, these threats this evening are threats.
Mm-hmm.
If we want to reconsider it's an open meeting issue. not litigation. This is an open meeting issue. They're asking us to reconsider a decision that this board made. This fine counsel, which no doubt came prepared this evening, only told half the story. He didn't tell the full story of the 4.5-hour first meeting where this board deliberated to give Mr. Zielinski the right information. So the question is, what are we going to go to executive session for? If we wish to reconsider the matter, schedule it up on a council meeting and have an open session, because there's no litigation that has been brought forward to my belief.
At this point, that's right.
Okay? So it's an open session matter if we wish to reconsider the decision that we made. I'm not the parliamentarian here, but that's my belief on this.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but we would need to schedule this for a further meeting. Insofar as this is not on tonight's agenda, it was not anticipated.
My opinion, my understanding, this is not something that was unanticipated. Mr. Zielinski has been sending emails, which I've been forwarding to the council. So I think we would have to give proper notice to anybody who wanted to speak on either side or listen to the debate by the council. I did mention in an email the other day that I was told that there was going to be a filing Superior Court. So at that time, I thought there may be pending litigation. I have not received anything, nor am I aware that our council has received anything further on that. So at this point in time, I'm not aware that anything was filed, so I don't know that there's any litigation before us. So without any further indication from council, it's my information belief that this would still be a matter for open discussion.
At a future meeting?
Yes.
Okay. Then I'll have to look at the calendar and come up with a date for a future meeting within a very reasonable amount of time. Councilor Lazo.
Procedurally, Mr. Jovan is correct under the open meeting law in comparison to an executive session. What I would request you to do is to look and research parliamentary procedure on a motion to reconsider if it is in line under the time frames and stuff that should be done. You just can't bring something up without an avenue to get there. So I would not talk about this any further on the citizens forum because it was his time to talk, the citizen. I think we should take it under consideration, as has been mentioned by you, Mr. Chairman, and discuss it, whether this comes forward again through a proper procedure. We shouldn't be discussing it on the floor. Thank you.
Okay. Any further discussion? Okay, there being none, we'll move on to agenda item number 10. And in the meantime, I will look up the proper parliamentary procedure, and I'll inform everyone about where we're going from here. And if need be, then we will reconsider, if it's possible, if parliamentary procedure allows us to do so, we will reconsider at a further meeting. We're not oblivious as a council. We're not cold-hearted as a council. But Councilor Jovan is right. There were 2 hearings in total with a lot of time spent in due diligence and due deliberation. And we need to give that its due course.
Just because you spend time doesn't mean...
Out of order. Thank you. Okay, agenda item number 10. Vote to confirm the appointment of Jacob Maldonado as constable effective immediately through June 30, 2024, pending completion of the state ethics training.
Second.
Council Lazo.
We discussed this at subcommittee. It was a unanimous vote of subcommittee in the affirmative to make the appointment.
Any further discussion? Mr. Town Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This application came through my office. I know it was forwarded to Chief Woodson. I have an email from him indicating there's no issue. I also took the time to conduct a phone interview with Mr. Maldonado prior to the PPP. I do see he's sitting in the office, in the auditorium here this evening. After my conversation with him, given his interest in law enforcement, he currently works in security, I did not see any issues with his appointment.
Very good. Mr. Maldonado, do you care to say anything?
Just want to thank the council and town manager for giving me this opportunity to get onto this position for the town and move forward. I thank everyone for giving me the opportunity.
Very good. There being no further discussion, all those in favor? Unanimous of all present. Very good.
Congratulations.
Item number 11, vote to approve Fire Department transfer request, account number 001-220-511000, salaries and wages, to account 001-220-511900, other salaries, for $3,842 to cover costs to fund other salaries for fiscal year 2022.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion, Chief Normandin.
Mr. Chairman, there was
Oh,
a...
go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, you're right.
You want me to go?
No, go ahead, Chief.
Go ahead. All right.
This was heard by PPP. Chairman Lazo took care of the first initial subcommittee meeting with a favorable vote. Is that correct? All right. Basically, this is to fund the MS-12 position for our clerk slash administrator to 37 and a half hours. This was done we had forgotten during the budget season that we had moved her up to 34 hours, but an MS-12 position does formulate a 37 and a half hour position. So this $3,842 will fund her for the full rest of the year starting September 23rd at 37 and a half hours.
Very good.
The recommendation of the subcommittee was in the affirmative, unanimous, to pass.
Thank you, Councilor Lazo. Any discussion? Very well. All those in favor? Unanimous of all present. Thank you, Chief. Agenda item number 12, presentation of the Town Council evaluation summary of the Town Manager for year one of the Town Manager's contract as prepared by Council Chair, and vote to accept. This is a summary that I put together after having looked at the various evaluations that council members had submitted. It includes a numerical component as well as a verbal component. And I'll read to you what the summary is now at this point. Dear Mr. McCall, I am pleased to provide you with a summary of your evaluation completed by the Town Council for the period of September 8, 2020 through September 3, 2021. Town councils were to submit their completed evaluations with written comments to me so that I could prepare a summary of the evaluations as well as a final overall score and rating. Members of the council completed their evaluations, including some level of written comment. This evaluation encompasses observations made by members of the council on your job performance. The evaluation was conducted using the Town Manager Performance Evaluation for September 8, 2020 to September 3, 2021, as approved by Town Council on August 30, 2021. The evaluation instrument measures your performance in 6 areas. 1, knowledge and skill. 2, dependability. 3, communication. 4, core qualities. 5, leadership and management. And 6, financial acumen. The rating scale used for these 6 areas is as follows. 0 points is unsatisfactory. 1 point needs improvement. 2 points meets expectations. 3 points surpasses expectations. The overall average scores in these 6 areas are as follows. Knowledge and skill, 2.78 out of a possible 3 points. Dependability, 2.89 out of 3 possible points. Communications, 2.56 out of 3 possible points. Core qualities, 2.89 out of 3 possible points. Leadership and management, 2.44 out of 3 possible points. Financial acumen, 2.78 out of 3 possible points. Your overall average total score was 16.11 points out of a total 18 possible points, which falls in the category of surpasses expectations. As noted above, councilors were asked to submit written comments in addition to their numerical rating. A summary of those comments are as follows. Number 1, knowledge and skill. Very pleased with the speed of picking up our charter and working systems. His competence and core skill sets have provided this councilor added confidence we have a person in position to make bold moves to improve life conditions for townspeople. Town Manager McCall has a strong working knowledge in procurement, as demonstrated with the stalled Mass Registry of Motor Vehicles lease agreement, as well as providing guidance for the fire station project. The town manager has demonstrated that he has knowledge of essential aspects of the job. However, sometimes it seems that he does not fully understand the form of government in Southridge. The town manager has continued to show in the last year a strong knowledge around aspects of the job, state laws, bidding processes, budgetary processes, and technical knowledge. Number 2, dependability. We didn't give you deadlines, but you produced a lot on your own initiative. I like the fact you take extensive notes, follow up on issues from meetings, and respond quickly to email and other messages. The town council did not assign goals and objectives during his first year because of the plethora of issues he would and did face, but this did not stop him from receiving hundreds of requests and demands from councilors and others. According to those who were on the receiving end of these completed items, they were impressed by the quality of work he provided. His ability to take complicated and important tasks and issues that came his way, and there were many, and provide timely, dedicated, accurate information was masterful. Exceeds this expectation. Always return calls or email all hours of the day or night. He has entered this position in all its turmoil and is turning things around. The town manager has demonstrated a very high devotion to the town, his responsibilities, and his job performance. He is available at all hours. He is adept at handling many tasks at once. Communications. Town Manager McCall provides timely and relevant information on major topics to the Town Council. He has provided updates when needed, and they have been concise and well documented on the major items. The Town Manager's communication skills are inconsistent. He doesn't always respond in a timely fashion with regard to constituents' complaints. Overall, the Town Manager has shown himself to be readily available. Almost always responds himself to emails or has the appropriate staff member do so. Core qualities. Excellent. Case in point is the pavement management plan. You have repeatedly been working well to do what the town has needed for a long time. Repeatedly, you've dusted off plans and started implementing them, jumped on issues that have been languishing. He has never been afraid of recommending changes or bringing forward new policies, even when they may not be the most popular. Job well done to date, always looking for improved ways to better the town. The town manager has never shirked accountability. He is calm and rational in the face of adversity. His best quality is that he is always on the lookout for new and innovative solutions and opportunities for the town. Number 5, leadership and management. We need to develop a more customer-centric environment. Our taxpayers deserve a full effort, aptitude, and pleasant attitude. Town Manager McCall has a professional demeanor that he displays on a daily basis, and that he has instilled his expectations to the staff in the town hall. I have found that he is a well-respected professional and that he has brought a sense of dignity and professionalism to the town manager's office. He is instilling a sense of pride in the town. The town manager has shown appropriate judgment on when to push something through, i.e. Human Resources Department creation, and when to slow down and see if there are better options available, i.e. the economic development position. Item 6, financial acumen. You've kept us well informed on the COVID-related financial issues, grants, provided updates as we've requested, and gave us a good budget with details I haven't seen before, particularly trend monitoring. Day one, Mr. McCall had to start working with town staff to formulate the fiscal 22 budget. Based on his experience, he was able to observe the process while making it into his. His explanation to the council was thorough, on time, and flawless. The town manager has presented a budget that was clear and concise. His procurement and contingency preparations have been continually tested, and he has always met the challenges of a very fluid town business. Presented one of the best budget recommendations and overviews in recent years. The town manager has provided information to the town council on changes and application to the ARPA funding through the federal government, and has developed plans with his team to make the best use of those funds in a forward-thinking plan. The pavement management plan funding was another example of his ability to get a project underway without a large impact to the taxpayer. I remain available to you to discuss this evaluation report and any concerns you may have. Sincerely, John L. Daniel, Chairperson, Southbridge Town Council. That's the summary report that I have put together. I've submitted this in a letter to the town manager, and this, along with the individual evaluations, the town manager can view, and then will be put in his personnel file. Is there anything you'd like to say?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the council. I just want to thank you for the evaluations, the comments, as well as the suggestions. I appreciate everybody's input. This is a learning year for all of us. There's a lot of challenges. I think we got an awful lot accomplished. As I indicated, I came here to help you with some of these challenges. We'll continue to work with them, and we'll continue to work together to solve these, and I'll take into consideration the input that you've given me, both positive and constructive, to make this a better second year for me and for Southbridge. And again, thank you for taking the time. Many of you have reached out to me, and some have offered the opportunity to sit down and continue to discuss the evaluation, and hopefully we'll get that opportunity to speak with everybody about their individual comments. Thank you.
Very good. Councilor Jovan.
Mr. Chairman, do you have a copy of that to distribute to councils?
I can get it, I can distribute it to council, yes. I can have copies made and distributed.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. Councilor Marquetti.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First of all, I thought that these deliberations were supposed to go to the executive secretary, not the chairman of the town council. So did something change there, or was the secretary not available, or?
No, the executive secretary was to collect them, so there was one common collections area, and then she was to turn them over to me.
Because, I mean, I was looking at the open meeting laws, and the best practice is to avoid the appearance of improper deliberation. Members should submit their evaluations to someone who is not a member of the public body. For example, an executive administrative assistant or executive secretary. So, I don't know, maybe I'm missing something, but I didn't know that the chairman of the town council was going to be.
Mr. Chairman.
Well, I'm not done talking yet.
No, I
That's
just want to be
fine.
recognized.
I'll yield. That's fine.
No, continue. I just
Okay.
want to be recognized because he
The
doesn't see
The other
sign.
thing is, once we're done with this, and like I said, maybe I'm missing something. The other thing is, will these deliberations, will this aggregated evaluation, this will be on the website? Because
On the
that's the other
website.
thing it says here, that this has to go on the town website.
I'll have to find out if that's
No, Mr.
acceptable or
Chairman.
not.
Mr. Chairman.
Councilor Jovan.
So the policy that the procedure that we set forth, Councilor Marquetti is correct. The central point that all the individual evaluations go to a central point, and then the chairman is to provide the summative evaluation, to take all those individual evaluations and then prepare the summative evaluation, which is to be delivered in open body, which he did this evening. That summative evaluation, that's why I asked for him to distribute that to counselors. That summative evaluation is a public document. That is what it is, the public document. So everything he read this evening to council is all the cumulative results with the final tally that is part of the personnel record, and that summative evaluation is the public record based on our vote this evening to accept it. So that, as we did with Town Manager St. Angelo's evaluation, it was the same thing. I believe we asked for it to go to the website, but that was a public document. So that is a public document.
All right.
Just as clarification. But you are correct. The best practice was to make sure that it goes to an individual so they can be recorded, that they were received individually to go to the chairman. And that's why we don't, as a body, sit and talk about all those individual evaluations.
All right. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman.
Okay, Councilor Catrona.
Thank you. I was, just to be repetitive, what Councilor Jovan just spoke to, that's what we spoke about in the ad hoc committee as we were together. Just they were taken in, they were time stamped and to go to the chairman. So just to reiterate what the former councilor said.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Very good. Okay, moving on.
Mr. Chairman, if I just comment?
Sure.
I've seen different evaluation tools, and I think this evaluation tool was pretty good. I thought it was, I think more important than the actual data, now you have a public document, is I know that I requested to the town manager to sit down with him and just talk about my evaluation. I think the evaluation tool, again, I've said this before, is to better the town manager, better the council, and the team concept. So I think that, I am going to sit down with the town manager and talk about my evaluation to further understand, where we were, where we are, where we're going. I urge all other councilors to take advantage of this open door policy. Sit down. If there are issues, I have issues. Good ones, bad ones, doesn't matter. What happens is if you air them out with the manager, you can get a lot further, and we can, as we say, hammer the tin to make it better. That's what this is about. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Councilor Lazo. Councilor Ryan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Through you, I just want to take a moment to thank the subcommittee members, Councilor Catrona and Councilor Adams, who's not here, who led that. It was quite an interesting committee to work on, and I think we came up with a really good tool, as Councilor Lazo pointed out, to evaluate the manager. I did take the time to meet with the manager and discuss my personal evaluation. I agree with Councilor Lazo. I think every councilor should take the opportunity to go meet with the manager and discuss it. I think it's not only good to provide him feedback, but it also allows him to provide a response to you, and may not change your mind or evaluation at this point, but it will at least provide some sort of dialogue, which I think is really helpful. So that's it, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Very good. Agenda item number 13, Council's Forum.
Point of order, you have to take a roll call on this?
Of course.
I'll make the motion to accept the evaluation.
Second.
There's a motion and a second on the floor to accept the council evaluation summary. Is there any discussion? Any further discussion? Very well. All those in favor?
Roll call.
I request a roll call.
Yeah, roll call.
Very good. Roll call, please.
Councilor Catrona?
Yes.
Councilor Daniel?
Yes.
Councilor Dow?
Yes.
Councilor Jovan?
Yes.
Councilor Lazo?
Yes.
Councilor Marquetti?
Yes.
And Councilor Ryan?
Yes.
Unanimous with all those present. Thank you. Agenda item 13, Council's Forum. Let's start on that side. Councilor Dow.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, to you. I want to thank Mr. McCall for a great job you're doing. What we did, it doesn't mean what we give you is the top. You deserve more, but we have to look some places. We need a lot of more support. That's why we did what we did, and I believe you're doing a great job. We're glad we chose you, and I'm sure it's going to be a better Southbridge from all of us under your hand in our decision as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Dow. Councilor Lazo.
Quick comment to the evaluation and the town manager. Town Manager McCall, the only thing I could say is you're a breath of fresh air compared to the last manager. You put down, you inherited a tremendous amount of weight on your shoulders on opening day. You didn't react, you managed. I thought that was part of the strong point of how you dealt with the things that were being thrown at you. And they were listed in the evaluation. I don't want to beat a dead horse. We will be talking about that. And I just think that going forward, the more that we understand each other as a council and as a manager and as a community, the better off everything works. The wheels will turn quicker, but for the short term that you've been here and dealing with the issues that you've dealt with, been very professional. I know you've put in a ton of hours, and I know that takes away from your family and your life, but I think it's what the doctor ordered for what you inherited. Going forward, I hope that the process and procedures that we put in place, we are not so much putting out fires as much as managing and moving forward and planning. And I think that's where we're poised to do now. How we handle it, we can talk about it in the office, and we can move forward with the agenda of the town of Southbridge. And I think we have a good start on what we wanted to do, roads, sidewalks, everything we're doing. We're dealing with weather issues, which are beyond anybody's control. Job well done. And I think there's room for improvement on behalf of the council. There's room for improvement with the manager. I think we're headed in the right direction. And thank you for coming to Southbridge. Tonight we had the dog issue come in front of us. I think that procedurally, every time somebody comes up with an emotional plea, I understand it falls on our soft side. But when someone comes up to a podium and threatens us, that I did not receive well. I don't know how the other councils received it. Hunger strike, I'm not taking my medication, I'm threatening that I'm going to die. This is a sick man that needs a psychiatrist. But that going forward, he did not shake my decision on what we did. And I think that moving forward, I question whether we should reconsider it, or even if it's legal after this time frame that's went by. But I'll leave that up to you, Mr. Chairman, to research. I would like to thank Joe and Adams and the evaluation team, putting the tool together, doing a great job. I thank you very much. It's always, more time out of your world when you have to ad hoc committee for whether it's, the stuff that we're doing with the assets of the town, the planning and development of a tool like that. Mr. Chairman, so far so good. Let's keep moving forward, and thank you very much.
Very good. Councilor Ryan.
Nothing this evening, Mr. Chair.
Very good. Thank you, Councilor Ryan. Councilor Catrona.
Nothing this evening, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Very good. Councilor Marquetti.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, through you. We did have a meeting of the Ad Hoc Capital Planning Committee on September 2nd, 6:30 p.m. in the George Parent Room. In attendance were myself, Councilor Lazo, Councilor Dow, Councilor Catrona, Town Manager McCall, and Town Accountant Karen Harnois. We discussed creating an inventory list of all town and school assets, and our next meeting is scheduled for September 23rd, 6:30 p.m. in the Town Hall. On the agenda, there will be a discussion on whether the committee would like to recommend that the town purchase software to work on capital planning. I would like to mention that I did invite someone from the school department to come in and talk to us about capital planning on the school side, and there seems to have been some misunderstanding as to what I was after, and I didn't mean to step on anybody's toes. Our purpose is to review the process for establishing a capital plan, and to that end, I want to discuss computerizing the capital planning. And it was my understanding the school has software experts, and I thought it would be helpful if they joined in the discussion. After all, it's one town, one budget, and one capital plan. So following the advice of the state guidelines that I received, an inventory list should be both the town and school assets. So my invitation to the school department still stands. I hope that they can make it to our next meeting, which is September 23rd, 6:30 p.m. in the town hall. And thank you. That's the end of my report.
Very good. Councilor Jovan.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just a couple of things. First off, appreciate the fact that we're going to have a meeting on Thursday evening to discuss the implementation of a possible mask mandate for municipal buildings. I would hope that all our citizens out there are taking all the precautions that are necessarily individually to protect themselves from this Delta variant and this Mu variant, whatever variants are out there, because it is taxing our health care providers. And that is a fact. And hopefully our citizens in town and our residents, there is so much dissension in our federal government that people are not trusting the messages that are going on out there. And hopefully from a local perspective, we can provide some sense of leadership as we did over the start of the pandemic, where we were at the forefront of providing for our residents, that we continue to provide the accurate information that they know that the town of Southbridge, through the town manager's office, the town council, our public health workers, are giving them the correct information to make the right choices. These small hospitals, and given the fact that St. Vincent still is in the middle of a nursing strike, our local hospital is taxed to the limits right now to provide for the care. So anything that we can do as residents, excuse me, to make sure that we lessen that burden, we need to do. So I look forward to working with everyone again as we continue this fight against the pandemic. I hope that residents go out this weekend for the Harvest Fest. A lot of activities. That's another outdoor event where hopefully we can come together as a community and enjoy some of the things that we weren't able to enjoy last year in a safe manner. Kudos to the fire department. I wasn't able to attend the 9/11 memorial Saturday morning. Very somber event. I haven't been a police chief during that day. It's near and dear to my heart as well as everyone else. So let's keep those again in our forefront, given again the climate and culture that we have in this country. I think on a local level, we have shown that we can disagree, but we respect one another's opinion. And it's sad that Washington can't do the same because it's for our residents. So thank you for that. To the citizen that was here earlier this evening, the only thing I want to address on that is the attorney put forward facts to our community, and I'm only stating this because I want to make sure that the town knows that we have taken this matter seriously as a community. Some may disagree. However, we did afford a 4.5-hour first hearing, and the attorney did not mention that hearing at all. We spent 4.5 hours listening to facts, listening to witnesses under oath, and there was a lot of people on this council. It was a divided council for that hearing. It was a passionate, divided council that said, that gave the benefit of the doubt to that dog owner by not declaring it a dangerous dog and declaring it a nuisance dog. We showed compassion to that individual. And I hope that the residents out there, that's my only point, is you heard one side this evening. He said he watched the last hearing, watched the first hearing as well to make an informed decision. Because the first hearing has a lot of bearing as to why this council made the difficult decision that it did. So thank you for all that, and that's all I have this evening.
Thank you very much. Agenda item number 14, I'm sorry, Councilor.
Quickly, Mr. Chairman, through you, something the previous speaker just spoke of. Will we be returning to, since the EOC is now meeting again, to the daily reports from Andy Pelletier with the COVID stats?
I can find out about that when we have the EOC meeting on Thursday.
Thank you.
Yeah, we'll discuss.
Daily reports. I want to make sure I don't forget. Very good. Okay, agenda item 14, discussion of the next meeting date. Next regularly scheduled council meeting is Monday, September 27th, 2021 at 7 p.m. here in council chambers. Item 15, vote to enter into executive session pursuant to Mass General Laws, Chapter 30A, Section 21(3), to discuss strategy with respect to the opioid litigation update, which if discussed in an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the litigation position of the public body, and we will vote to adjourn from executive session. We will not return.
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor?
Roll call. Roll call.
I'm sorry. This is just not a good night. Roll call, please.
Counselor Daniel?
Yes.
Counselor Dow?
Yes.
Counselor Jovan?
Yes.
Counselor Lazo?
Yes.
Counselor Marquetti?
Yes.
Counselor Ryan?
Yes.
Counselor Catrona?
Yes.
We adjourn to executive session.